Welcome to another episode of the Furniture Success Podcast. Today, I'm excited to talk with Andrew Peck, the founder of Live Edge Exclusives. In this episode, we'll discuss his journey as an entrepreneur and how referrals have played a key role in growing his brand. We'll also discuss his experience at industry events like the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show and how they help him connect with potential clients and grow his network. Hi, Andy. Welcome to the show. Could you talk about a little bit about yourself, your company, your background, please?
Yeah, sure. Love to. I'm not a woodworker by trade or training. That came much later. I'm a stream biologist by training. I've studied a lot of biology, river mechanics, streams, rivers, lakes, did a lot of conservation for about 20 years, both in the lower Mississippi drainage, but then also up in the Hudson River Valley. And then my wife got a job that caused us to move to Charlotte, North Carolina from the Hudson Valley about 2.5 years ago. And at that point, I just was ready for a break. We have two young girls that needed some help kind of getting settled. So activities, figuring out where the schools were, getting all that stuff situated. So I got to be, Mr. Mom for a while, which was fun.
Wow. Yeah.
But once school started, because we moved it in July, but once classes started for the girls, I had some empty walls and some spare time. So started doing some projects around the house. Epoxy River. I'm sitting at a Epoxy River floating desk right now, bunch of shelves, that kind of stuff. And after we were here for a little bit, after everything got installed, friends started coming over and were like, wow, your stuff is amazing. You really need a shop. You should be doing this full time. This is what your next career path should be. So One thing led to another, and had a conversation with my wood supplier. I also know as my crack dealer. At J-Pro here in Locust, North Carolina, and worked out an arrangement that was affordable. And for the last 18 months, Live Edge Exclusives has been growing incrementally, trial and error. But we made it through the first year, and we're excited about being halfway through our second year and seeing where this calendar year takes us.
Was this always a passion of yours?
No. Actually, it was a passion of my grandfather's.
Okay.
He started woodworking. He passed away when I was 5 or 6, but I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a red smoker that's beside me. He made that. That was in their house from when I was a little kid. And ended up at our place through good fortune, I guess. My dad tinkered a little bit, and I tinkered marginally as a young kid, but I really didn't get going with having a lot of interest in woodworking until about 5 or 6, 7 years ago. A friend of mine, I wanted to do a new, put in some new floating desks, counter shelves in an office space that I had. And a friend and I kind of started tinkering. And then from there, those projects sort of escalated. And then once I got down here, they got much bigger and more complex. And so that's kind of where it originated from, was just doing some projects around the house and just falling in love and finding a passion with it. It started with, sliding barn doors for alcove closet faces. And then went to moved into the floating countertops. And then we did what I call the smoke pit, the smokehouse, at our house in New York, which had live edge bar tops, etc. outside. So that's kind of where it all started. And then what's really interesting about being in this field is when you have a network of people that know you can do something, they tend to want something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really where it has started. Like my first two projects were for very close friends of ours.
Mhm.
That's from there, one project leads to another.
Yeah, like this is something that I always, recommended to my clients as well, like in early stage, especially like getting referrals, especially
Mm-hmm.
from your, network. The client acquisition cost is zero, you know,
Yep.
and people will be tolerant, you
To a
can make,
point. To a
yeah,
point. They want their stuff when they want it, but just like
yeah.
any other customer.
Yeah, and you can get honest feedback, from your friends. They can
Yep.
give you, especially not your core friends. Maybe they can, just ignore the flows, but you know, um, all other referrals will be honest to you. Hey, like because they wanna protect you, take care of your business, like, and they give you honest feedback. And if you fix those issues, it could be related to your product, your service, or your materials, whatever, and you can fix them, and it's going to
Your
be way,
punctuation and social media posts about their project.
yeah, 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 yeah. Could you like explain your process for all of the epoxy, like colors, add-ins, like how did you come up with the creative ideas, and and make them reality?
So I've spent a whole in my previous life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I spent a whole lot of time on rivers and lakes, and
Mm-hmm.
mostly underwater in those rivers and lakes because I was studying freshwater mussels and they live on the bottom. So
Okay.
you got to dive down to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a pretty good understanding of what rivers naturally look like in terms of why rocks are in some areas and sand is in another area, and why fish live in one place and not in another, and what
Mm-hmm.
bugs live where as well. So being able to incorporate some of those features into my river pours is unique in some respect.
Mm-hmm.
Doing some clear pours with natural riffle scenes in them, or lake scenes, or my ocean scenes even, with the wave crashes, kind of how they lay out across the table and on the epoxy. I try to make as realistic as possible in terms of making it look like it would look like if you were looking at it from an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of the other hobbies and interests I have, though, are fly fishing is one of them. I'm also a hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and I tie my own flies as well. And so, one of the things that I've sort of developed or have developed over time is because when you work on a big project, generally if you're doing a big epoxy pour, you're going to have
Mm-hmm.
some material left over, and not wanting to waste that material, I want to be able to have a small project on the side standing by to accept that epoxy. And so with
Mm-hmm.
clear pours, I one day I just was like, you know what? I've got a box of flies that I haven't used. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Just try it. So I put a bunch of flies um, in a mold with a
Mm-hmm.
couple of slabs of walnut, and just started playing and tinkering, and had a whole bunch of problems that I had to solve pretty quickly. Um, Air bubbles, because all the fur and
Mm-hmm.
materials that's used to that's used to make the flies, deer hair, etc. That's all insulating material, so it's all full of air. So how do you keep that air? How do you either get that air out before it goes in the epoxy, or how do you seal it so that when it goes into the epoxy, there's no air for it to come out? Same with the bullet casings that I've used.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pre-sealing is key to all of that, but there was a trial and error process that you got to go through. Bullet casing is a little bit more straightforward, but the flies took a little while. But then there was there's different. Another one of my ideas was to start doing fly tying stations that were portable,
Mm-hmm.
which was great, and I love them, and they're well received. But one of the first questions I had is, there's not going to be a huge market for these.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I diversify this product? And that's what led me to the wine and charcuterie servers that have the shelf for wine glasses and a wine bottle with a charcuterie board underneath, so you can carry it wherever you want to go. Same design, fly tying station, but a diversification of audiences and potential customers.
I see. Oh, so like, could you talk about a little bit your events? Like, when I check your website, I can see like on February 21st, you have an event like Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show. Like, could you a little bit talk about us? What is that?
So that is one of the largest home and remodeling shows in the Charlotte metro area.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the Park Expo Convention Center. There'll be probably 300 vendors there, and about, I don't know, over the course of the weekend, anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 people that come through the doors. Last year was a pretty good show, and I think they had like 3,000 come through in that neighborhood. 300. And those are just big events where people are coming to look at ways to update, improve, ideas on how they can renovate, etc., for both existing homes as well as new houses they're building. Those shows tend to have a higher buy-in, so the vendors pay to be there. You're paying to access the people that they bring to the show, of course.
Yeah.
But you've got an engaged and interested clientele that's right in front of you that you get to spend time with and shake their hands, etc. So that I did the show for the first time last year. It was a really good show for me. So I've increased the size of my booth this year, and we'll be going back again and hopefully see what happens. But that's just one of the shows I do. I do a lot of local, what are referred to as pop-up markets, where you have a tent. There may be anywhere from 30 to 150 vendors there with all sorts of different stuff. What's different about the home show, the big convention center shows versus the little pop-up markets, is I'm more likely to sell a piece at a vendor show or at a home show than I am a vendor pop-up market, because of the cost of my products are, $100 or more. People are more willing to shell out or expect to spend money at a home show than they are at that kind of money at a pop-up market. But what's unique between both of those events is the number and diversity of people I get to meet and shake hands with and have conversations with. And that is what makes, bar none, vendor shows my number one asset relative to customer engagement.
Yeah. So you started with referral business, then you continue with the,
The referral
trade shows,
referral business was really small.
It's like a starter for you.
It was the first 2 customers, and that was it.
Yeah, initiator.
In the meantime, I was then reinvesting the resources that I made from those modest sales to fund the entry fee into the vendor shows going forward.
Yeah,
so as soon as I started doing those vendor shows, projects slowly, not 100 of them, but it was like 1 or 2 at the first one, 2 or 3 at the second one, a table order the third one, and then to the point now where I just did a vendor show here in Charlotte the first week of January, right after Christmas, and I sold 3 pieces out of my booth, but then I had orders for an additional 15 pieces. And then the following weekend, I did another show and sold 3 more pieces out of my booth, and ordered for 3 more pieces, 4 more pieces, something like that. So that's kind of how it builds, and each customer is different. It's not, so you're not getting necessarily repeat business from the same. I'm not getting repeat business from the same customers. I'm still building for new customers. So now I'm tapping and putting my product in front of a new person that has a whole unique network in and of themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's the sort of the funnel that I've got to this point.
That's perfect. Like you started with first a couple of orders with referral business, and then you thought about like this could be a business idea, and then you continue with the shows. And that's the best way, to be honest, especially in this market, because like most of the business owners like you, like they made a mistake, like uh, during the tough market, like I mean after COVID, because during COVID, like selling something was easy, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
people were at home and they were ordering online, and they thought like they can sell online immediately. But having a website means something, but people will not come to you. You have to do search engine optimization, you have to advertise on Google, Facebook, and you need to spend tons of money. And the advertising cost went up like maybe 3 to 4x when we
Oh, yeah.
compare 2020 21 with 24 25. Like I can honestly say like at least 3 times
Oh, yeah.
expensive.
The
Yeah.
demand increased so dramatically, both
Correct.
the demand for the ads, but then also the demand for the consumption of the ads as well.
Yeah.
You have a lot of captive viewers.
What I recommend to my prospects, clients, leads, everybody, like starting with referral business, then the shows, trade. It could be trade shows or events, whatever, like and then if you reach that point, like maybe over a million, 1.5 million, maybe even more, then you are gonna start spending 5K per month, 10K per month, and you can get some return on investment. If you do it earlier than that, then you are gonna be limited by budget all the time, and it's not going to work, and you're going to blame platforms or the marketing agency that you are working with, but they were trying something, but that was not enough.
Right.
It happened to many business owners, like in last 3 years. And I sometimes I say no to some of the prospects from our sales team, because like I thought, like you don't need to spend that amount of money for now. Like wait 6 months and 7 months, I can give you a roadmap like yours. You did great job, to be honest, like for your first year. And like, and then you are going to be ready for advertising on Google and Facebook. If you start now, like your competitors, like they're bigger, they have more budget, and they're going to beat you on
The
those
the
platforms. Yeah.
other interesting thing that I've found about platforms like Facebook, like there's a lot of people in the Facebook or in the Live Edge and epoxy fields. There's a lot of people that, and it covers the whole spectrum too. People that are doing it in their garage as a hobby, all the way up to people that have 250,000 square foot warehouses as their shop. But what I got scared of, particularly with Facebook Marketplace, is how is the prospective customer going to view me? Were they going to view me as the big 250,000 square foot warehouse, or were they going to view me as the guy that's doing it in his garage as a hobby? And so I didn't know if I wanted to be in that sort of murky water area. So I do not actually have any Facebook Marketplace ads anymore. I don't currently run any ads. Everything I'm doing right now is just face-to-face. The face-to-face conversations and relationships that I'm building are the cornerstone of my business. And frankly, part of the reason why I got into this business in the beginning is because I love people and I like interacting with them. But then there's a legacy element of it as well, because the pieces that I build, they're not throwaway pieces. For example, I finished recently a 10.5 foot dining room table with an ocean scene in the middle of it. Clients had it for a week. I went back to do a slight upgrade to it, and was getting stories back that within that 7-day period, their kids had already started bickering and fighting over who was going to get that table after they pass away, which is probably 20 years from now. But that's the kind of feedback that I want to be able to hear and have my pieces be part of. And so, because I remember sitting around my grandmother's dining room table, the smoker's chest has been through hell with me and back. And it's had lots of other uses. I used it as a fly tying station at one point. So that's the reason why you get into the business, but you have to remember you're in a business. You're not doing this as a hobby anymore. You've got to eventually make money. Now, I'm not in the point where I'm making money yet. Like, my bank account is still very fluid, but I think what I've tried to do is sort of strategic gambles, because I don't know yet what's going to work and what's not going to work. But I've not invested a crazy amount of money in something that everybody else is already doing.
Yeah.
So that's what led me into the vendor shows, and why I think it's still a good place for me.
Yeah.
And in fact, now I'm actually expanding my geographic range where I'm going, outside of the Charlotte area. But then the other thing I did this summer is, the challenge I run into is I can't take my products outside once you break 80 degrees, because the epoxy can start to melt and weird things can happen just by sitting in the ambient heat. It's not melt, but like just soften a little bit. And then when it rehardens, stuff changes. So I don't like to go out when it's warm. So the question then became, how do I get new customers? And then it dawned on me, it's not always about getting new customers. Sometimes it's about maintaining contact with those you've already met.
Correct.
So we started a newsletter. I did a 3-month series of newsletters about how to pick your wood, what happens when you come in, what are some different things that you can do with live edge wood products, et cetera, some of the FAQs and that kind of stuff. But then it also documented some of the projects that I had just finished during that month, and listed where I was going to be in the coming months. So it was a way to really kind of keep folks engaged. And so how do you get their information, though? That's the trick. And so I started offering a free piece. So a charcuterie board or a wine server or something along those lines as a drawing. Give me your email address. So all I wanted was your email address and your name. And then I asked that you followed me and liked me on Facebook. That was it.
Perfect.
And then pick one winner, do a free drawing. Now I have this collection of email addresses that I have access to. But I felt really weird because my inbox is bombarded with advertising sales daily. Like, it's just crazy. But I didn't know how people were going to respond to it. So I think I had a list of like 280 potential customers. First month, 0 unsubscribes. Second month, 0 unsubscribes. Third month, 1 unsubscribe. But my the number of people that I was selling it to was increasing as I went to shows.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, there's something here. And then the fall show season started, the temperature came back down, and I went and collected more addresses. So now what I think I'm going to transition to, because as I've been going to shows, I've been asking, hey, I'm not going to bombard you with ads and junk email and spam. But what I do is I want to send out a newsletter just to kind of highlight what I've been up to, what I've learned, and highlight some of the projects that I worked on over a period of time. Are you okay with that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd love to be able to see something like that and kind of keep me up to date, keep me refreshed, kind of keep me engaged. Just don't send me something 4 times a day. And so I feel much more comfortable now
Yeah.
because I tried something. I didn't get any sales out of those newsletters. There were no sales that came in. But the fact that you can track how many reads you get and how many clicks you get, like do all
Mhm.
that tracking. But the information we were getting back from it was pretty significant and very
Mhm.
positive. So we're going to try and figure out a way how to continue that going forward.
Yeah.
So now I'm just building to that list every time I go to a show.
Mhm.
And still the unsubscribes are minimal, but the open rate's over 60%.
Mhm. Yeah, managing database is like one of our steps in our growth system, to be honest. And what we talk, like, if you reach 1,000, contact information with name, email, or phone number, then you can upload them to Facebook later or Google, and you can retarget them with your ads. And the other thing is, like, it costs very little money, email marketing. And you let people know that you have a capacity right now, or you have a campaign, for, let's say, Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
campaign. If you need a Thanksgiving dinner, like, for 12, like, here's an option for
Yep.
you, like. And and the other thing is, like, um you should know who your ideal customer avatar is. Like, if you know your customer well, you're gonna understand that, their personalities, hobbies, interests, living situations, like their pains, frustrations, like everything. And then it's gonna increase your service quality, product quality, and you're gonna know that how to approach them. And it's going to help you even with the paid ads in the future. You're gonna know what they are interested in and what they are not.
Over
And
65% of my clients or followers and clients are women.
mhm, yeah.
And they're buying stuff for their home.
Mhm,
They're buying stuff for their sisters and their daughters, but they're also buying stuff for their husbands as gifts. And then the husbands are more interested in stuff for the house. They're not, they have, for some reason, the guys aren't looking to buy presents for their wives. There's been a few,
mhm,
but not many. But the guys love it too. Like the husbands and wives come into the booth, and that's my dream scenario. Because now I have
mhm,
both of them there. I can talk about all the pretty and elegant stuff for the wife, but then I can also talk about the details and the mechanics of how we
mhm,
make it, how we protect it, what's the maintenance plan look like, etc. with the husband or both of them. But I'm sharing the same information to both of
mhm.
them at the same time, and invariably, I'll get after every show, I get an email after I talk to a couple. Hey, we've decided we want to do something. Can you make us X? And that's it's that face to face interaction which is driving me right now.
Yeah. And like, again, like, we highly recommend attending an event, every quarter during the year. It means, like, it shouldn't be less than 4 times a year. And also, like, being active on social media on daily basis, because, like, you have an opportunity with every new project. Like, it's an opportunity for you to tell people, like, hey, I'm working on this is my story right now that I'm working on, and it's going to be something nice at the end. And you can create some short videos, even long videos. You can start a YouTube channel, and you can document all of the process, and people
We've
love
got
it, to be
YouTube
honest.
channels. We have Instagram. I've
Correct.
got Facebook, and they all
Mhm,
have different. I haven't completely solved that equation yet of
mhm,
what I want each platform to do for me, but
mhm.
each platform is reaching a different kind of customer, a different audience.
Correct.
Um, and that's can't be anything but helpful in my mind. So, like for right now, my daily post, I don't even post daily.
Mhm,
I try and do once or twice a week, but it ends up being like once every other week. But but if I have, like this past week, I had 6 projects going on at one time. So I took a bunch of videos, and now I've got some content to be able to just start dropping whenever I want to. But what I typically do with all of my builds is I take pictures and videos from start to finish. From the
Mm-hmm.
minute the slab comes down off the wall to when it goes into the home. And I have a guy that does videos for me. I just basically give him all of my pictures and videos, and he compiles it into a short, puts it to music, does all the slideshows, the whole 9 yards. And then I get that video back. It gets posted to Facebook. It gets posted to YouTube, and different snippets of it will get posted into Instagram. But I make sure I take glamour shots, quote unquote glamour shots of the pieces in the yard behind the shop, outside with the sun hitting all the epoxy and the mica powder and just throwing sunlight everywhere. Like, I make sure I have those pictures and they're incorporated. And then I get a picture of when it gets in the home. But then I ask repeatedly if the customer would be willing to send me just everyday pictures of the piece in use. I don't want to see it. Yes, I'd love the Christmas pictures when it's all set and everything's perfect, but I'd rather see it after everybody's eaten and it's a complete and total mess, and then one more picture after you've cleaned it all up and nothing has happened to the table and it's completely pristine. So being able to highlight the build process so folks know why these pieces, or begin to understand why these pieces aren't, $100 to make, and why because of the processes that we use to make them, why they're so resilient to the torture of 6 toddlers with Matchbox cars, for example, or red wine spills. Like, how to prevent damage from all that stuff. And it's I think of it as an educational tool for my potential customers, so that when they do say, "Hey, we want to do a piece," and I say, "Okay, here's your quote," I don't get I get, there's an understanding there of why this stuff is expensive, because I've either talked them through the process, how long it takes, what goes into it, or they're doing it on their own.
So, like, where do you see Live Age exclusive in the next 5 years? And like, are there any new products or innovations you are excited about? Like,
so my goal in the first year was to survive.
congratulations! Yeah,
I survived my first year. I've got goals for my second year. One being, I'd like to start to draw a paycheck. That's probably not going to happen, but it's a goal. Because right now, everything that I make, I'm reinvesting back into the company one way or another. But I think in 5 years, what I think I want, as I sit here today, is a small retail shop where I have sort of a storefront somewhere. We have some tables displayed. People can come down and, sit at one of our tables, or, look at one of our wine or fly tying stations or charcuterie boards or whatever, and sort of touch, feel, scratch, sniff, whatever they want to do to it. But then have a shop associated with in the back with probably, I'm on the fence right now whether or not I want to hire an employee, but I definitely know that there are employees in my future if I'm going to be successful. If I'm continue to do this by myself, where I am the only person running the business, making the products, it's going to be a failure. So I've got to be able to make a transition at some point. But I think in 5 years, that's probably where I'd be comfortable. A small little retail shop with an associated workshop in the back where people can come in and see stuff being made. But still doing the shows and still doing new customer engagement. But then also inviting existing customers and past customers in to have conversations with new customers as well. So mingling events, that kind of stuff, I can envision all that stuff happening as well.
I see. And like, what advice would you give someone looking to start a custom furniture business today?
Patience.
Okay.
And don't try to do too much at once. One project at a time to start with. Don't try and do 4 or 5 projects at the same time. And do not overinvest in the social media, and don't overinvest in your expenses before you have the cash flow to match it.
Right.
Because if you overextend yourself,
Mm-hmm.
now you're chasing money, and that's not a good spot to be in. Find a small place that's affordable for you to have a workshop, and allow. One of the things I'm doing is I'm allowing other venues to be my retail shop. I've got product placement in 2 different shops right now. Third one on the way, 3 different shops right now. A 4th one on the way, and prospects in 2 or 3 others. So I'm putting my product in their retail space. Yes, I'm paying for it, but I'm okay with that because it's exposing people to my products when they would otherwise be sitting in a tub in my workshop collecting dust. So I get them out of my way, and they have a chance to be sold. I just sold a flyboard that I made. It's at a shop an hour away from here, and it sold yesterday. So those kinds of opportunities are really great. Just from a brand recognition, product recognition standpoint. Don't be afraid to use other people's space while you grow as a stepping stone to you growing your business.
Yeah, and don't get a business loan.
I don't have one. I thought about it long and hard, but I was just like, no, not doing it. So it's just start small, grow into a big business. Don't buy into a big business, because that puts a whole different level of stress on you that it's paralyzing, from what I'm told.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Andy. Like, my last question is like, if one of our listeners want to reach out to you, like, what is the best way to, reach out to you and your business?
So you can get to us through liveedgeexclusives.com. If you're interested in doing a project or having a project built, there's a questionnaire there that you can fill out that comes directly to me, and I give you a call back and we can talk through it. If you're a woodworker and I want to talk to somebody that's kind of been through the ringer already, give me an email at andy@liveedgeexclusives.com, or off my website. You can grab my cell phone. That rings directly to me day and night. One of the things I strive to be, and I struggled with this early, and it was, am I a competitor or a collaborator? And so I'm deciding that I want to be a collaborator. I'm more than willing to talk and interact with anybody in the industry, that I feel like it's a 2-way street. I have something to offer, but then someone can also provide me some guidance or recommendations or what have you.
Definitely.
And that's the approach I want to take. I don't want to be always I can't tell you what I do or how I do it because it's my proprietary thing and da 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 da. No, everybody can do this. Some of us can do it better.
Right. Yeah.
So be a collaborator, not a competitor.
Yeah. Perfect. Andy, it was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for participating in.
Thanks for the invitation. I enjoyed the conversation.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Andy.
Yep.